Are you ready to learn what red flags keep an eye out for when looking for love?
Then we got you covered. I'm Brianna.
And I'm Alex.
And this is the podcast where we unpack reality TV and call out the bullshit.
So that you show up confidently while dating and in relationships. Welcome to Ditch the Script.
I love it. Hey.
Hello.
Happy Halloween. Oh, I was gonna supplement the Halloween song from
Night Before Christmas.
Yes, thank you. But with holidays. Happy holidays, happy holidays.
Oh, I like it. We should make that remix. That's a pretty damn good remix idea.
Yeah, I like it.
How are you today on this fine Sunday?
Pretty good. It's felt like a proper weekend.
Nice.
I'm finally feeling like a holiday jingle. There's a jingle in my jangle.
There's a jingle in your... I love it.
Yeah.
So fun.
How about you?
Pretty good. We're getting a little festive. We're also finding our jingle jangle. I'm pretty sure that's the drug from like 21 Jump Street or something.
That could be.
Some movie.
Jingle.
Yeah, we're finding our holiday spirit here too. My dog is currently using my arm as a chew toy. Yep, that's my wrist, not a chew toy. But you know how it goes. Yeah.
I do know how it goes.
Yeah. I'm a little tired from a very busy week, but we are resting and manifesting, bitch.
Oh, that should go on some merch. Resting and manifesting. Yeah. That's actually pretty good.
It should go on some merch. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, please.
If anyone wants a resting and manifesting cropped hoodie, let's do it.
That's so cute.
Fuck, I should probably patent that because someone listening to this might steal my idea.
It's okay. We'll work on it. Oh, speaking of patents, I was just at a bar and this guy was coming around. There's like a dog bar, so there are a lot of dogs and a lot of dog parents. And this guy came around and he was like, I'm looking to get some people's feedback on a business idea I have. Yeah, Jack, settle down, man.
Yeah, he is on one. Ow. Yeah. Okay, continue.
He missed you. And the guy was wondering if people would be interested in biodegradable, disposable rain jackets for dogs.
Oh, he would love one because he does not do the rain. He will hold his bladder for a whole 24 hours before he goes out in the rain.
Yeah. And so we were talking about it and he said he has a whole patent. I was like, wow, good on you. So I feel comfortable sharing that information. If you think you are a dog parent and you're listening to this and you think that you could benefit from having a disposable, biodegradable, I was very clear because first
emphasis
he was like,
on biodegradable.
Yeah, he first was like, it's the same plastic as like grocery shopping bags. I was like, I'm not interested.
No.
And then he said a pack for 50 would be $12.99. I said, there's no way I would spend my money on that. And I was like, if I could give you a little bit of feedback, I think that you could charge that kind of money if it was biodegradable, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, it's biodegradable. I was like, is it though, dog?
Yeah, because you can't say plastic, I don't know if I believe him or if he was just trying to make a sale.
Me neither. He had nothing to sell, so maybe
I know, it was like talking it up, but then backpedaling. It's like, wait, okay, get your pitch together before you start looking for investors, my friend.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Everyone is Shark Tank. Everyone you meet is a part of Shark Tank.
All right, sharks.
All right, sharks. What do we think? I've only watched that show like once, and it was on mute at the gym, so I don't really know what I'm talking about.
I watched it when we were in Vegas for my birthday. I'm not even lying. Yeah, when I first got to my hotel room and was like unpacking, it was on.
Nice. It's a good show. It's fun.
Yeah.
I wanted your opinion on something.
Tell me.
If you had someone coming to you that was like, Alex, I'm out here. I'm in the dating spirit. It's cuffing season. I get really nervous when I'm flirting. How would you advise them?
Practice.
Okay, what does that mean?
Practice. I mean, there's a million ways you could do it. I think watching, your friends are great, practicing with friends. I really flirting, it's so funny because I literally have like a module on flirting in my dating course already, Set Swipe. But you obviously have to find your thresholds because, like, everyone flirts differently. That's the thing. And I think what fucks people up with this question is they're like, well, I want to flirt like everybody else. And it's like, but do you, though? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, flirting isn't one size fits all. And you need to do the type of flirt that's natural for you because, as we say on this podcast all the damn time, your authentic self is what magnetizes, like, the soulmate type connections that we all crave. So it's like, if you're not going to flirt in your unique way, then you're going to end up flirting with someone that doesn't necessarily, they're not attracted to you for you. So I think like finding things that, you know, a version of flirting is making someone laugh, but those types, everyone laughs at different things depending on their own comedic type. So it's like, okay, what kind of humor do you enjoy? Explore that, you know, find ways to pick up jokes like that. What kind of connections do you like? Are you the type of person that's like a heavy reader and you've read like so many different novels? If so, then like pay attention to the places where you go to look for dates to have flirty conversations. Like, you know, bookworms, where are they going to hang out? Bookstores, you know, coffee shops, like places like that. Okay. And that's going to be where you're able to kind of set yourself up for set yourself up for success and eventually sex. That was all natural. I'm so glad we got that recorded.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But you
so
know what
funny.
I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's like figure out what ways allow you to like step over into flirty banter more organically for you, even if it's awkward. It's okay if your flirtation is awkward. I'm asking because I have an idea of wanting to be like a sexier, more seductive kind of flirter. And it's just not who I am.
Yeah.
And I have to like give up that's the like girl that I want to be. And I have to accept that the girl that I am is an effective flirter for a very specific audience.
Yeah. If you find yourself asking the question of like, how do I flirt with this person? You've already lost the battle. It's like if you are attracted to someone and you're like, that's my target. And then you're trying to figure out like, how do I position myself in the right way? It's like, you've already lost the game. Like, don't do that. Just be you. Seriously. Make the joke that's funny to you. Because here's the truth, like a year down the road, because I think a lot of people are like 20 years from now, then you're going to be making jokes that you actually enjoy. And the other person's going to be like, I don't get it. Right. But it's not even 20 years. It's like 3 months, 6 months. Like that's going to come up real quick. So it's like, just be you. Flirt in the way that you enjoy being flirted with. Like, I think that's something else that's like a learning tool there is like, what are the things that make you feel like, oh my God, I like that. Like that made me laugh, or that was cute, or that made me feel special. And it's like, take that and start practicing that, you know? I think flirting's a lot of fun. I've always had a knack for it, as you know.
I know you do. That's why I asked. That's a good tip is taking an interest in like what kind of flirting works for you. And it doesn't mean that you have to be that version, but to take in the cues that like, do you like to be complimented, or is that typically turn you off and make you go like your eyes roll in the back of your head? Yeah. Do you like when someone is like makes pointed banter with you? Yeah. That's a good tip. And then also like, I think just to add to the last part of it, even though it's my own question, it was really for me. Like, don't be afraid to like fuck up. Like, go for it. You have to.
Is there such a thing as fucking up? I don't think there is.
Well, rejection.
Yeah, but is it rejection, or is it the universe steering you in the right direction? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things where, like, you never know. You never know. And it's like, you learn something even with the effort. So I just fucking go for it. There's so many times on the daily where I crack jokes and I think I'm hilarious and people are like, yeah, no idea. No, Alex is in her own little world. And that's okay with me. Like, I'm so okay with that. You know, and then I'll be self-deprecating and I'll be like, wow, tough crowd today. And that always gets a laugh.
Yeah, always. Love to poke fun at self.
Yeah, but anyway, so flirting, have fun. Do it, kids.
Try it. Go for it.
Have fun.
That's incentivizing me.
Watch these reality TV shows and learn really quickly, like, what doesn't work for people.
What doesn't work. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to talk about episode 3 and 4 and of season 3 of Love is Blind.
Me too. So, ooh. Eye drops? Are we just going to start there?
I mean, that's where it starts. Just for context, if you don't remember, the 3rd and 4th episodes finish out the pod experience, and then we go into the early stages of the honeymoon trip, and they're in like Northern California somewhere. We start with Nancy rejecting Andrew, his proposal, and then we watch a very candid
I was shook
producer interview. Yeah, I want to hear about your experience.
Voice noted Brie immediately. So, just to recap, like last week when we were talking about like who would we pick, who are we interested in? If I'm being honest, like no one was really interesting to me. I did say I was intrigued by Andrew, and that's true. And the reason for that is because he's had so much life experience, it sounds like, and I'm like, I want to learn more about that. So so honestly, like when I saw the teardrop thing, at first I was like, oh wow, this guy really cared about Nancy. And then the kicker for me was when he finally was like, is it okay that I'm doing this? And that got weird to me. I was like, oh, so why are you asking for permission? Because in my mind, I'm like, if your eyes are really hurting or if you're really fucked up, why would you're just going to take care of yourself? And that's when I sent Brie the voice note, because I was like, wait, what's going on? Is this guy seriously like that? Then I had to Google it, and it turned into this whole thing. So for me, like, it was one of those things where clearly that reframed the entire way that I perceived him in episodes 1 and 2. And it's one of those things where I shared this with Brie privately too. It's like, I started trying to figure out if he was love bombing her in the sense of like, let me brag and act like this, I'm this hot guy. Or if he was throwing out all these different topics, trying to figure out what got Nancy going so he could pigeonhole onto that topic. Jax is losing his mind, guys. Look at this. He's freaking out. Okay, anyway, so as I was saying, if Andrew was trying to figure out what topic was most intriguing to Nancy for him to be able to then love bomb her in that way. And obviously the record is still out. I saw that there's like a hint that he's coming back, so I'm interested to see what that's about. But I'm really proud of Nancy at the end of the day for listening to her intuition. And ladies, we all need to be better about that. Because clearly there was something that was being discussed in some way, shape, or form, whatever dynamic it was, that had Nancy's like gut being like, this isn't it. So I'm really proud of her. Because I think a lot of people wouldn't have been able to pick that up and would have most likely in Nancy's scenario hyper-focused on the difference in age with Bartise and maybe just been like, well, I'm going to settle for Andrew because the age alone,
Yeah.
What about you? I had no idea. And like, I stayed away from so many spoilers. I had no idea that this was even a thing.
When I had watched it, my mouth was agape.
I know.
And my mouth was agape and I was speechless. And so in order to make myself feel better about not noticing that he was going to be on some fuck shit like that, I justified by being like, they perfectly edited his pod exposure for the show to help us as an audience entirely, like, believe in his potential. Like, I think that this is my theory. Yeah. I wonder if there was more, like red flag narcissist type behavior in the pod that they cut out, not because that wouldn't have been good television either, but to create a very like drop kick moment.
Mic drop moment at the beginning of that scene. I completely agree. Total potential there. So, and you and I, like, you posed that question in our chat, and my response was totally. And there could be a possibility that it wasn't super clear because this is what they fucking do. Like, they're master manipulators. And so it's like, I'm just curious because you're right. Like, there's so much. And I love that Bartise finally admitted, like, in this one of these episodes where he's like, it was 10 days. I was like, ooh, okay, good. Like, I have a mile marker kind of in my head for like how long these people were talking to each other. Because before I was like, was it a day? Was it 2 days? Was it 3 days? Like, how long are they really talking? So he mentions, like, you talk to these people for 10 days in a row. I'm just like, I'm so curious to know how much, like you said, information was divulged, how like, if he divulged anything that was emotionally vulnerable for him. Because, like, Nancy's over there talking about her eggs and, like, all this stuff. So I'm curious. I'm so curious.
I know. I want to get, like, the B-side.
Give me the raw,
tape.
unedited footage, bitches.
I know. I wonder what's going to happen to him.
Well, I will say this. What I learned as I started Googling, because then I was like, let me go down the rabbit hole now that this first spoiler was out. And I had to dodge other spoilers. Even today I was on Instagram and someone was interviewing Zainab and I was like, swipe by. Yeah, like, can't listen to the spoiler. We are dedicated to this process, you guys. So I hope you know that.
I would have binged this entire season by
my God. Oh my God. So something I learned about Andrew about the tear-eye drop thing situation is he is claiming he signed an NDA so he can neither confirm or deny if he was faking. But he's like, it seems pretty arrogant with how he's using it. He's like, be pissed off at it if you want to be pissed off at it. Like, there doesn't seem to be any, like, care for how he's being perceived, which guess what that's a sign of?
Narcissism.
Yeah, it's just like, it's weird. Narcissism is so weird because on the one hand, they so care about how they're perceived, like they want to fake their image, and or they so don't care how they're perceived that they will hurt everybody and not give a damn about it. So it's just really fascinating, like the textures and like types of narcissism that are out there. So records, we'll see.
I would believe an NDA in the like assumption that there's a follow-up Love is Blind episode like they did for the most recent season. Like they kind of followed the original cast like a couple months later after people had split up, stayed together, stayed married, and checking in and see how they're doing. So I imagine that he could be featured as a part of it because it was such a visceral reaction that we all had as an audience. So anyway, I also don't want to give the advice of like, because what Nancy picks up on is he seemed too cool, too calm, too collected, everything was a little bit too perfect. And it's just not the kind of guy that I'm into, which I believe her. She's like, I'm looking for someone who actually has like a little bit more texture, like something to really believe in. I don't want to give the advice to say, if they seem too good to be true, there's probably something wrong, because I think that pulls us out of the moment of being with someone that feels like they're treating us well in a genuine and sincere way. And it's hard for us to trust because we're like, I'm not used to being treated nicely. Yeah. I'm not used to being treated like with respect and whatever. And I want people to be able to lean in and feel safe in doing so. And then there's also the element of what you need to look out for when it comes to narcissistic behavior in people that you're dating.
Yeah. And that's why it's like, it's so nuanced. It's like, I wish people would, I think the biggest dating tip I can give anybody is what matters in the dating process, especially in the early days, is you guarding your own heart. And because I think a lot of people have a habit of oversharing, and with narcissistic, when we go down that lane of narcissistic partners and relationships, that's something that very quickly will be used against you. So I always tell my clients, like, we're peeling an onion one layer at a time. We're not like blowing it open, right? So, guard your heart, be very intentional with how much you share and when you share, collect the evidence. But in the meantime, instead of getting emotionally attached to someone so quickly because you're spending time with them, treat it like a science experiment. Like, you are literally like, who is this person? Am I learning more about them? Am I feeling safe with them? Am I feeling criticized around them? Am I feeling that they're judgmental of other people? Like, you're going to start to see it, the negative red flags projected out towards other people before they become projected at you. So just pay attention to how they speak to and treat other people, and how they, live their life, who they be. Like, for a lack of a better way to put it, who they be and how they be.
Look out for who they be and how they be.
I'm going to put that on some merch too.
I know. I was just going to say the same thing. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay. I'm over him, Andrew.
Yeah. But I am fascinated to see, because I really, we'll talk about it later. Bartiz, Nancy, convo.
Let's go. I hear that Yeah, let's go. Okay, so Bartice then proposes to Nancy. Nancy says yes. They get engaged.
The end.
Let's talk more about them later. Raven and SK continue to get to know each other in the pods. The one note that I pulled out about as you continue to see their connection before they get engaged is that what I think helped them both feel really good and certain about that decision, albeit a big one after such a short time, is I think that what we got to see in their pod experience is that they really nurtured each other's individuality in the context of them being in a relationship. And it seemed to be what uniquely the other person wanted and believes that they need in a relationship. Yeah. And I think that was just a beautiful example of a very different kind of relationship than we're typically used to seeing in our culture, which is very one for all and all for one for the relationship. And instead, this was very much like, how do I continue to allow you to be you and I can be me? And how do we make something happen with all of that respected?
Yeah. I really don't have much to add on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Brennan and Alexa.
Brennan and Alexa.
Colleen and Matt. Brennan and Alexa, they're cute. I just think that they're cute. That's all.
They are so cute. Next, Colleen and Matt. So she says she loves him. She's ready for the next step. And boom, shakalaka. He gets down on one knee and she starts to say come on, ask me already. And then followed by a bunch of I love yous after they get engaged. This couple's really fascinating to me. It's just, that.
I know.
I'm just kind of
well, and also, I think you and I are both having pregnant pauses because so much also continues to be revealed as they get to spend time with each other in person when they go on the honeymoon. So, I'm with you. I don't have any other notes of the pod exchanges, the engagements, or the initial introductions to one another. All my notes are for honeymoon. What about you?
Yeah. So let's go.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they see each other. I have a note that Colleen is all Barbie-like because she did the foot pop and held her position really dancer-like. Congrats.
Very. Yeah, it's one of those moments that if she looks back fondly at this moment and is in love with it, I love that for her.
Me too.
Objectively, I just want to note that this is a really good example of women behaving. This is our conditioning. This is not a thing that we just choose to do intentionally. It's a good example of women engaging in behavior while almost being able to watch themselves engage the behavior. It's how does it look to be picked up and kiss my fiance? I want it to look a really specific certain way. And this is just what we do.
So true confession here. And this is a wound that I have healed in the last 2 years. I feel for Colleen because that would have been me. If I went on this show when I was her age, 23, I'm guessing, totally guessing, but around then, I probably would have done something 25. Fucking the same, right? I used to have sex with this same, my feet are pointed, so fucking funny. I was so my line needs to look good.
Yeah, no, you're not alone. And it's interesting because you have a very specific, dancer lens to how you're being perceived in action.
Yes.
But you're not alone. So we might have different lenses of dancer lens, thinking about lines, cool girl lens. Do I look relaxed? Bougie girl lens. Do I look expensive?
Does my ass look good in this position? Yeah. All of it. Yeah, it all goes through.
Am I holding my body in a specific way that makes me look the way that I want to be? But what ends up happening, and Naomi Wolf writes about this in her book, The Beauty Myth, but what she says is what you end up doing is that instead of just being at a coffee shop, drinking coffee on your laptop, you are distracted and you are also thinking about how you are looking as you drink the coffee, as you sit in this specific chair. And all of us, most of us do this. It's just part of our conditioning. I don't mean to single Colleen out. I certainly don't mean to single you out. This is something that we all do.
But that's why I wanted to share, because I know I'm not the only one. And it's something that I had to heal, because when I was going through the journey of like healing my sexuality and owning my sexuality and really enjoying it and getting back into my body so I could enjoy sex fully, I had to let that go. I had to let that go in so many ways, like hair, makeup, like all of it. Just like I'm a wild sexual beast come at me is like what I had to embody and embrace to like get to where I am today and continue to grow that. Cause like, you know, always on the journey. But dude, like, man, I saw that and I was like cringe for me personally. Cause exactly that. I was like, I knew it. And I was like, girl, I feel for you in time. Okay. But that's really it. Moving on, little couple stay honeymoon situations. Let's go.
They start their honeymoons, and also they spend like a day or two together before they get to be reunited with their existing castmates, the people who also got engaged and are still on the show. So they don't know who's engaged. They don't know where they are. You really just get a couple days where they're spending time with each other. And it is across the board, kind of all over the place.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
We end episode 3 before we start episode 4 and really get to catch up with the rest of the couples. We end episode 3 with Cole and Zeneb having sex, and then things feeling really different in the morning.
Yeah.
I have thoughts. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I kind of wish we had more context, because right now, like, it's all a he said, she said thing. You know, like Cole says he was quiet because he wanted to let her sleep. Zainab felt she still is calling it the silent treatment, even after he has said that's actually wasn't my intention at all. And so really what needs to happen here is an honest conversation about feelings, not logistics. I want to say that again. An honest conversation about feelings, not logistics. Instead of focusing on you were quiet, you didn't talk to me for 3 hours. That doesn't fucking matter. I felt that you may not have enjoyed having sex with me last night because I felt you were really quiet. And in my mind, I thought that if you did enjoy sex, the expectation I was, you know, the story I was telling myself would be we'd cuddle, we'd maybe order room service. Like, that's what needs to happen. Can I check in with you? And I just want to, for my own peace of mind, can you let me know, like, I know we're still growing our sexual connection, but like, are we good? Like, that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And not you ignored me for 3 hours. You were quiet for 3 hours. You know, that's not okay.
Yeah. Because at that point, she's like keeping score as well. They're both at fault here. I think that this is a true sign of that the two of them don't yet know how to communicate with one another. They got to know each other while there was like a very safe barrier, and they weren't confronted with the physical nature of that connection, and also whatever physical behavior can come from that connection. What they end up talking about a little bit later on is that they both feel incredibly attracted to one another, and sexually they feel really attracted to one another. But they both have very different ideas on how to come together when they're not having sex. So my hypothesis on what happened that caused this really weird page for them to both land on is they hooked up, and Zenab probably felt incredibly vulnerable, and the next day was hoping to feel reassured. And instead, while she didn't get that reassurance, she felt rejected. And so she starts to notice that he's being quiet and distant, and she's interpreting that to mean I'm not certain about us. So she starts to interpret it, and so she goes cold, and she doesn't know how to deal with it. Now she's starting to protect herself. And now Cole, who says that he's unaware that that's like that any of that created her to be disengaged in that way, is now just responding to her coldness. He's being met with his partner, who is not engaging, not warm, difficult to talk to a little bit here, quite defensive. And then so he also retreats, and he retreats further, which continues to repeat the cycle of what Zenab is assuming is happening. so that neither of them are prepared to just be like, I feel weird. Do you feel weird?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I am not perfect at navigating these moments. I can understand them objectively, especially when I observe them in other people's dynamics, but it's something that I personally struggle with. I can get in my head about stuff. I can assume someone's behavior means something else, and then I can retract. So something that I'm leaning into lately is to just, I don't have to know the perfect way to initiate a communication reconnection, a conscious conversation, if you will. Instead, I'll just rely on what is it that I'm feeling, and can I voice it so that they at least know where I'm at and we can get this rolling. And what I might have done in that moment is, I feel a little weird.
Yeah.
Or do you feel weird? And then seeing if that helped us sort of untangle what was going on much sooner, because the rest of their day and night together was bad.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. It's like, it becomes this domino effect, because when you're in your head, you're not in your life, right? So you're in your head over analyzing everything. Like, oh my God, that sigh. Oh my God, that side glance. Oh my God, did they put their cup down harder on the table than they did earlier today? I can't remember. Like you get so analytical about all these micro expressions and behaviors that you're not even present. You're not even able to listen. You're not able to enjoy. And then the only way that you try and get your point across, and what we're seeing with Zainab, are these passive aggressive comments that are really a cry for love and reassurance. You know what I mean? And so I love that tool. That's very similarly, I think so many people get so hung up on like, what is the formula for me to bring this up? And sometimes using a formula makes it even more of like a heavier conversation than it needs to be, especially in instances like these. It can just totally be like, hey, babe, I might be a little in my head right now. I'm feeling a little weird. Can we chit chat on it real quick so that we can just sweep this under a rug and go have a badass day? Like set that. It doesn't need to be, set the intention of like, hey, I want to like clear this out so we can go have a great day together. Can we chat real quick? You know what I mean? Like, this is what I was feeling this morning when I woke up. It doesn't need to be this like, I feel that when I woke up this morning, you were a little distant, and like, yes, those tools are amazing for the harder, heavier conversations, but in something as minuscule as this, it was tiny at first, but now it's blown up into this whole thing. So it's like, give yourself it's better to just rip the Band-Aid off and be like, this is how I'm feeling. And like, it might fumble out of your mouth than be overly in your head the rest of the day trying to like figure it out. 'Cause you're not. You can't read someone's mind. So
it turned into an absolute, like, maybe it didn't feel like a shit show for them, but it turned into like my own personal version of a hellfire. Because
I would have hated it.
Cole and Zeneb, like throughout the day, like Cole notes that Zeneb is quite passive aggressive. Like, she uses humor to kind of bring up a criticism. That's the best way that I would be able to describe it. And Cole is someone who I notice really needs a lot of reassurance. Not too different from what Zeneb wants and wants to feel. Cole wants to be reassured. So because he doesn't exactly know how to deal with the tension and the conflict that he feels that is present, and he doesn't know what to do, because he doesn't really know what it's about, so he doesn't know what to do with it. I don't even know if he would know what to do with it if he knew what it was about. But without those tools, he's just sort of like, do you love me? Do you still love me? Do you still want to do this? Which can feel like a Band-Aid for your connection, for your relationship, instead of like, just to hear someone say, yeah, I still love you, but not deal with the thing that's causing the tension is not gonna hit the way that you want it to hit. And
then you're just on the merry-go-round to continue the cycle. Like, it's just going to come 100%. Back around.
And that's what's happened to them.
Yeah. And then people wonder like, wow, I haven't felt loved by anyone in like 5 years. It's not, because they stay on this cycle instead of actually resolving the root issue, which usually is like communication or love language issue. And it's just, relationships are they're this interesting duality of like really complex just because humans are complex and there's so many layers, but then simultaneously they're so simple because it's like the basis of a relationship is like communicating what your needs are, what your boundaries are. And sex and like, yeah, like, you know, like there's not, it's interesting. It's just a weird duality there. It's weird.
Yeah.
Just want to throw that out there. That's why I'm fascinated by them. Okay.
Me too.
Who's next?
So
they're fascinating. They're like puzzles.
Yeah, they are puzzles. People are puzzles. I want to talk about Nancy and Bartise for a moment. So now everyone's
I'm going up to my notes.
Everyone's a little awkward when they arrive, and I get it because it's like there is, it's weird to physically start connecting with this person. Everyone has a different. Excuse me. Everyone has a different relationship with sex. Everyone has a different relationship with intimacy. Everyone has a different relationship with vulnerability. So I just want to, I'm going to single out their awkwardness for a very specific reason. But I think that they were all very awkward in their own unique brands. And that's okay. That's normal. I am as well. But Nancy and Bartise are so funny to me because at least at the beginning, like Bartise draws this like sexy bath for the two of them. And
I love
Nancy
it. I was like,
yeah, it was cute. I know. I knew you were going to be into that. Nancy like comes in. She's got the cutie like future Mrs. Bathing suit on, and they get into the tub. And Nancy does something that I myself have done, and I want to make a public service announcement to call myself in and to call
God, I
anyone
hear what
else
this
in.
is.
Yeah. It's talking about poop. It's just, it's talking
maybe
about
not
poop.
second day convo.
It's talking about poops, talking about farts. Listen, I stan a natural queen. I stan eliminating the illusion of like women don't poop. I stan that. And I also notice that it can really kill intimacy. Yeah. It can kill intimacy in a moment, and it can, and a lot of couples therapists and sex therapists have recommended that while, yes, of course, normalize. Everyone goes to the bathroom. Big thumbs up. And you maybe minimizing how much you talk about it with your partner as a way to continue to leave room for intimacy, because it's not sexy. It's not about women can't do and women shouldn't do and women shouldn't talk about. I don't want men to talk about it either. I'm here for a poop joke here and there, but if it's time to get sexy and get close to each other, it's not sexy.
Yeah. Not while you're in the tub with your man, when you're having a day because you ate a whole bag of hot Cheetos, different story.
Different story. That's what I'm going to say. If you're at the bar and you just like chowed on some nachos and you're like, oh shit, I'm going to blow this place up. Like, that is funny. That's funny. That's a funny vacation memory to share. But when you're like in the tub and you're like getting closer to each other
and like
don't
almost
talk about clogging
sex
a
or
toilet.
make out. Yeah.
Don't talk about the toilet clogging.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
They end up fucking too. They end up having sex.
Did. Good
Everyone
job.
had sex except for like one couple.
Yeah. Rich was Raven and SK.
Yeah, we'll get into it. Nancy and Bartise, I think what's interesting about them is like Bartise is a very specific belief about what this stage should be like.
Yeah.
Have you ever talked to people about dating and they're like, well, if it doesn't feel like this, like it's not anything. It's
my
like,
God.
wow,
yeah. I've been told that. I've been told that if you're not obsessed with them, you don't like them enough. And I'm so glad I didn't listen to that friend, because I was like, now knowing what I know, looking back, I was like, oh my God, that was the worst advice anyone's ever given me. And I'm so glad I didn't listen to it. Like,
yeah.
I think we set ourselves up in comparison a lot. Like, oh, I felt this way about my ex. How come I don't feel that way about this person? It's like, okay, it's been how long? Like, I think far too often we think that this expectation of how we should feel at 1 month in, 2 months in, 3 months in really fucks us up. And we leave what could be truly amazing, mature, intimate connections too soon because we don't feel some kind of way that we've put on ourselves. It's stupid. Don't do that. We're done doing that. We're ditching that script for sure.
We are ditching that script.
Yeah.
New merch.
100.
Okay, I want to come back to Bartise and Nancy when we get to everyone
to the drama.
connecting. Yeah, to the drama, this drama. Colleen and Matt. Colleen and Matt. The only note that I had is that I found that they just have like a pretty strong physical connection. And I think that the two of them haven't fully like started to talk to each other as like two human beings existing in the world, unless that was edited out.
Yeah, I'm with you. I completely agree.
Yeah.
I noted. Oh, I know what. Yeah, I completely agree. I think Colleen and Matt, like you said, they have this huge, strong connection. They talk a lot. They make a lot of sexual implicative like statements and jokes. She talks a lot about what she's wearing, like what dress do you want me to wear. He tells her quite like frequently, like you're so hot, blah, blah, blah. But I'm with you. Like we haven't seen any like, you know, one of my craziest childhood memories was when I did this, or, you know, in a relationship, I really value this, and this is what my work life is like. Like, we haven't seen any of that yet. So, yeah, not sure if it's just not happening, which if it's not, then it makes me really doubt all the I love yous. I think it's more like, I just want to fuck you. I love yous, not like true love.
Well, I wonder if they were sharing more about themselves as people in the pods. Which led them to get here, but now they are, they're so caught up. They're like lost in the sauce of their like physical connection, which is also normal. I just like,
it's overwhelming.
Like, come up for air.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, okay, I get it that you're hot and I'm really into you. Like, cool. Let's have sex so we can have a conversation real quick. I would have so much respect for them if and eventually they do, which is great. But like, okay, if you're so distracted by that, have sex and then try and have the emotional, vulnerable conversations. Let's get it out of the way.
Yep.
Oh man.
So, okay. Our last couple to cover before we talk about them reuniting is SK and Raven, who have not had sex, have barely closed in their like 1 foot of gap between the two of them.
I know.
And they're, I wanted to get your thoughts on what you were seeing in that.
I think that is from Raven. I don't think Raven's attracted to SK. So I think she's keeping distance because of that. I think if she had someone she was more physically attracted to, she would be sitting closer to them. That's me totally guessing. I'm just guessing.
Bartiz mentions that, actually.
And I think he's right about it. I do. I think he's right about it. There's something like, if we're attracted to someone, we naturally are going to gravitate towards like wanting to be in their vicinity, right? Like it's just a natural human thing that we do. So, like, Bartiz is actually a great fucking example of that later in the episode, because he ends up, like, just being near Raven a lot, you know what I mean? So it's like, we subconsciously do it. So, I feel for her, I feel for SK, because I think SK is a fucking king, so I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I think it was awkward. It was it was awkward to watch, it must have been so awkward to be a part of. But I appreciated how they handled it. Like, I thought it was cool that Raven took it upon herself to acknowledge her distance and her her nonverbal communication. Because I think that would have been of course, like SK could have noted it as well and tried to bring it up, but it's a very delicate thing to address. So I like that Raven opened the floor, and it allowed SK to maybe get a little bit of reassurance of like, okay, yep, that's what I thought, but I'm glad to hear you say it. Yeah. I think it was nice for Raven to be able to hear that SK does acknowledge what's happening here. And yeah, I thought that talking about it was a really good idea, especially in light of them not being able to really get physically close. I actually thought that them doing a physical activity together the next day was also a very good idea. However, Raven's close association with her role in a physical setting, or like a physical activity setting, kind of like kiboshes the bonding that could happen in a shared activity. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you. Like, one thing we know about Raven is she's self-aware, you know? I feel pretty confident stating that. And I also, SK is also very self-aware. You know, he admits in his confessional that he wants to take his time physically, and he likes to also talk about his feelings, right? Like, he makes that, like, I'll talk about my feelings, which is good. But yeah, the Pilates date really killed the vibe for me. Like, girl, I get it. Like, I so get it. But I actually wanted to kind of talk with you about this dynamic, because it's like, she in her mind is like, this isn't fiance Raven, this is Pilates Raven, and I'm bossy and I want him to do it right. You know what I mean? But in SK's lens, you're always his fiance, like, even when you're Pilates Raven. And so I feel that would be a mature thing to be like, yes, like, you're happy to give him feedback, but especially when it's this new and fresh, I wish there was just a little bit more compassion and playfulness around it, instead of like, this is a real class, you're a real client, and I'm going to kick your ass. You know what I mean? I don't know why. I don't know if it was the editing, but I felt so uncomfortable watching it that I was like, can you be a little kinder? Like, you know, she was like, do you want to do it right? And I'm like, ooh, that can be a little emasculating. You know, it's like, just, could we phrase that differently? Like, you know, I don't know. What about you? Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, something that I love about people is I love seeing people work in the spaces that they feel passionate about. Like, if I were to be able to see you have a meeting with a client, that would bring me so much joy, because I could see you like really in your lane, and I love that. And I think that it's nice for your partners to be able to see you at work, especially a job that you feel strongly about and that you love. So I think the first part for me is, it doesn't have to be this separation, because to your credit, to your point, SK sees you as your fiance, even if you're a Pilates instructor, even if you're a kick-ass, no bullshit Pilates instructor, he's still going to want to see you like, doing your thing and being who you are in that role, but maybe not at his expense.
That's what I'm trying, at his expense. Like, it felt a little jabby instead of like, let's do this together, you know?
Yeah. Maybe, and you know what, maybe it would have worked with Bartice, who is already into fitness.
Right. Yeah. But so like, different strokes for different folks. I think it's a conversation to be had, and maybe like, it would have been fun to kind of, cause like, it just felt super intense. And maybe it would have been more fun if they like each switched off teaching an exercise. Like, you know, she teaches the 100 and he teaches squats, or like, you know, like, let's go back and forth and make it more of like a camaraderie thing, instead of like, I'm the leader, I'm in charge. And then the jabby comments, like, yeah. Okay.
Agreed.
That's all.
They did eventually end up talking a little bit later, though. What they spoke about is escaping me, but it seems like that they got a chance to reconnect before the day was over, because it was awkward for both of them.
It was super awkward. Yeah. And she admitted that. And then she made a comment about his face soap that I also didn't like. She was like, are you going to wash that off your face, or are you just going to let it sit there? And he's like, I'm going to let it marinate. I'm going to go shower it off. She was like, oh, okay, cool. We're letting him. And I just was like, damn, and like, look, she's just sassy in that way. And like, it's totally fine. And I just want to make space for the fact that SK's still learning her. So I don't know if he's taking those comments literally, or like the joke that I'm hoping she's implying them as, which I can't quite tell yet, if I'm being honest. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just be careful.
So,
be careful with the teasing and the jabs with your person, especially when it's a new relationship.
Yeah, I think like, be you, and also carve out a little space to bring your partner in on the gag, in on the joke a little.
Yeah.
Whatever that means to you, in whatever space that is.
Yeah.
So, okay, then they have this shared party where they all get to see each other for the first time, which I was like...
Wait, we forgot the fight that Zainab and Cole have over Good and Great, which I was like, oh my gosh, are we really going there?
This is sort of what I was mentioning. This is what I was sort of mentioning as far as like how the rest of their day went. Like, they were so disconnected that their shitty behaviors just like got even worse.
Piled, and compounded.
listen, if you're having, and what was interesting is at first I was like, are they having an Aaron and Genevieve moment, the difference between good and great? But they were actually fighting about good and great because they were going over like how they were feeling or how last night was. And Cole said good. And Zenab was like, not great. And he was like, I said good. And she was like, good and great are different.
Yeah.
She's sensitive right now.
Very.
And he is an idiot.
I think if she communicated her sensitivity in a different way, Cole would know what to do with it. But the passive aggressiveness isn't computing with Cole. And so they're not making any progress.
It's pissing him off now.
Yeah, it is. And so now she's going to get more sensitive and it's just going to blow up. It's going to blow up. All right. So let's go to the party. We're at the party. Whew.
This party gave me like middle school dance vibes because it was sort of like everyone, like you just were in class with everyone and then like you see each other and then you're like, oh my God, like she's really hot. Look at her over there. Oh no. You know what I mean? It was something very juvenile. These people should never be given alcohol on these shows.
I don't understand. They were throwing them back. I know. It was bad.
Yeah.
How Nancy many shots did they do?
Tons. And also, like, I want to call this out. Like, that's fine. If you love to drink, go for it. Do you, boo. Be safe out there. Drink responsibly. But the normalization of, like, this is really awkward or, like, I'm having a bad day or, like, this is feeling weird. Like, I got to just drink. We have to sort of break that down and be like,
yeah, we do.
Bartiz is a very good example in which that is not going to help your freaking case.
No, it made it worse. When he was like, I need another drink, I was like, that's going to make it worse. Stop. Like, worse, I literally was like, it's going to make it worse. Yeah. Yeah. So the dynamics here, it gets ugly. I'm going to just create a bit of a diagram of where everyone's eyes are. And then we'll talk. Yeah. Sparkle. So, Matt and Colleen, very into each other. They seem attached
happy to be there. Cole
to be there,
looking at Colleen. Yeah, happy to be there. Cole wants to be there with Colleen. Cole is like, Colleen is someone I'm attracted to.
Yeah.
And then we have Bartiz and Nancy. Bartiz is wants
to be there with Raven.
Bartiz is wanting to be there with Raven. Nancy only wants to be there with the
Bartiz.
Yeah, the buffet table. No, she's just like sitting and eating the entire time, which I loved that. I was like, I would have been.
Me too.
I just would have been there with her.
Yeah,
I'd have been like, yes, what's this? Let's eat this. Yeah. Like, what's going on over here?
Blind taste test. Let's go.
Yeah. Then the boys kind of get together. And Alexa and Brennan, so
great.
Happy. They're so happy.
The strongest out of all of them, I think.
100%. They're so happy. Oh, we didn't really talk about their independent day together.
We can talk about their AM combo because that's really the only thing I have notes on about them. There wasn't, long story short, there wasn't enough drama with these two, so we didn't get much of them on these episodes other than like one conversation. Good job, Brent.
What I did like to see about them is that like they're both just really happy and they're also really like still getting to know each other and they feel very comfortable kind of leaning into this kind of childlike but still a grounded way of being like, I fucking like you, man. And I think that's so sweet.
Yeah, me too. Sweet. They're handling it really well. They're having the conversations that I kind of want to see everyone else had. They're talking about family, like, and I love that. They're realizing really quickly, like, shit, our families are kind of polar opposites, so that'll be interesting to see. And Alexi even says that. She's like, it'll be interesting to see how our families get along. Because, like, if that's the case, we'll see what happens there. But they're in it together. It seems like there's no, like, I was kind of waiting to see if the conversation turned more like, well, when you come to my house, I need you to not cuss. Because, like, if we're doing that, it's not going to be okay to me if that's where the conversation goes. You know what I mean? So we'll see what ends up happening. But long story short, Brennan is describing his family as like, it sounds, I'm going to use the word conservative. And what I mean by that is like, they're more reserved, well-mannered in the sense that like, you know, just piggybacking off of what
Polite.
Alexa
They're,
says
like,
about
polite.
herself.
Yeah.
Polite, chew with their mouths closed, don't cuss, like that kind of thing. You know, and Alexa's like, no, my family cusses in front of the children. Like, we're so laid back and like we shit on each other and like that's how we get along. So that's the recap.
They're gonna figure it out, but so far they are like, they're gradually building on their connection, and it feels quite authentic. It doesn't feel rushed, even though every other objective milestone of their relationship has been rushed. But the way that they're relating to one another feels more realistic, much more so than some of these other connections. Because we have some complicated dynamics, you know. It feels like while the boys are connecting, Cole is airing out his grievances about Zeneb, and he's looking for a little bit of support, but he's talking to the wrong people because he's talking to someone who's Bartice, who kind of is in a similar situation. Not that he feels this way about Nancy in the way that Cole feels about Zeneb right now, but he is experiencing an attraction to someone that he'd connected with in the pods that they're now spending time with, and so is Cole. So they're just, and poor SK is just trying to like chime in and like get the good word out, and like like he just kind of gets shot down. I thought the boys connecting together was weird. I thought there was another weird moment with the girls. It was between Zeneb and Colleen. Zeneb was trying to like say something about Cole, and Colleen kind of shot her down in this sort of like, don't worry about it. You guys are so cute. You're so fine. It's like, girl, what the hell do you know? You haven't been with them all day. It was weird.
Yeah, I think Colleen was honestly trying to reassure her, because I think Zainab's aware of Colleen and Cole's previous connection. Because he let Colleen down for Zainab. So I think Zainab, it's like one of those keep your enemies closer type things. I think the reason Zainab was trying to have that conversation was to kind of get Colleen's gauge Colleen on where she's at feeling with Cole now that she's seen him, you know? And gotcha. Colleen, I think she genuinely was trying to like show Zainab, like, no, like he's yours, like you're good, you know? That's how I read the situation. So, and I thought, like, I get that. Like, I totally get, again, Zeneb is looking for that reassurance now in more ways than one, because we've introduced these other people. So, yeah. Yep, the end. That's really all I know about that one. Go ahead.
Okay. We got to talk about Bartice talking to Nancy.
Yeah. So where do we want to start with this? Because there's like a lot of levels to this conversation too.
They go back to their hotel room. Bartice is wasted,
and Nancy kind of eaten back her to sobriety. It feels like, you know, like she's like sobered up more because she stopped drinking and started consuming. So like, I feel like that's why she was there. She was like, let me bring myself back down to earth. But yeah, I felt like she was like maybe a little drunk, but more like tired drunk, like let's wrap it up. But Bartice was still like at the club drunk. Like,
yeah, Bartice was at the club. He comes back and he is just running his drunk ass mouth. And that, I thought maybe there would have been a way for him to be honest with Nancy about his experience seeing all of the other people. Cause it started with a gossip corner, like, what'd you think, like, what was it
of this couple, this couple, this couple, this couple?
And then it turned into Bartice's transparency about what his experience was like seeing Raven, someone who he had dated, which Nancy did not need any reminders about. And he just absolutely fucking boofed it because he was wasted, and it made Nancy feel
shitty,
not good. Really bad.
Yeah, I think he could have not used the word smoke show.
Yeah.
Like,
one no.
I think, yeah, and hot as hell or something like that is what he said. But like, basically what it sounds like to me is he's now used larger complimentary sexual type words describing Raven than he has used with Nancy. He's been like, I think he said something like, I just don't think he's called Nancy a smoke show or hot as hell. And now that you're calling this other girl those things, she's feeling like, well, the compliments you've given me rank underneath what you've now ranked this girl. Like, so I just feel like you could read it on her face.
He looks to her and he's like, and you know, and then there's you. And it's like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
And just like
it was bad.
Your simple safe landing place.
Yeah.
I feel like I have felt that way while having never gone through that much of a punch in the face experience like that was. I really felt for her. She did not deserve that. Bartise was candid in a way that was totally inappropriate.
Yeah, and so it's like, I mean, there's a part of me that's like, I want to know what his intentions was with that. Because I will say this, like, sometimes people do that. And then, because then he followed it up with, is it okay that I'm this honest with you? So in Bartise's mind, he's like, I'm just being honest. But it's hurtful. And so I think a lot of times people will do that and I'm judgments. I don't think this was Bartise's thing. I really wanted to just say he was drunk and not thinking. But some people will use that to make their partner feel shitty about themselves purposefully. Yeah. They will do that. They'll be like, I'm just being honest. She's hotter than you. And it's like, I've had people talk to me that way. And I'm just like, why do I need to be told that?
Listen, can we talk about the difference between honesty and transparency? Like, I don't think that it's so necessary to be transparent about every thought and feeling just to consider yourself as an honest couple.
Yeah.
Sometimes some shit is going to leave marks emotionally on your partner. Yeah. And if it doesn't need to be said, don't fucking say it.
It will always leave a mark on your partner when you're comparing your partner to anyone else that you've previously been attracted to. I'm sorry. Like even I've had partners be like, well, my ex would watch this movie with me. And it's like, it's a form of triangulation. It's like, what the fuck? What? What is that supposed to make? You're shaming me because your ex would watch a horror movie with you that I wouldn't watch with you? Really? Right? Or sexual things like, well, they would do that with me and you won't do that with me. It's like, and your point is, like, there's a difference between, like, he could have been so simple. He could have kept it so simple. It was really nice to meet Raven. She's a pretty girl. I'm glad I'm with you. Like, done. You know, that's a version of honesty where he's saying, like, yes, she's pretty and I still chose you and I'm happy with you and that's what I want to focus on. Like, it didn't need to be, I had the complete opposite experience. I saw Raven in her tight outfit. He, like, describes everything. And I just was like, bro, stop, train wreck. Oh my God. So yeah, be mindful of how you word things. Do not compare your partners, you know, your current partner with your previous partners. You're doing damage. Just leave it alone. Yeah. Yeah.
Put it to bed. How about this? Go to bed. Go to sleep.
Go to bed, Bartise.
Go to sleep.
Here's some water. Up. Here's some Advil.
Yeah. Go to sleep.
I'm really curious to see what the conversation, like how Nancy handles this moving forward with him and like how she, like what the conversation is.
Do you have any early season predictions on what's going to happen with the couples?
I mean, I see her talk to Andrew again in this, like, whatever, like, not preview. Well, yeah, I guess it's a preview of next week. So she's talking to Andrew. All of a sudden, Andrew's like, well, I think you're beautiful. So clearly she talks to him about it. I know that was a producer move. I don't think she picks Andrew. Right. I think she is going to stay with Bartise. Bartise really needs to apologize and, like, figure out a way to make Nancy feel beautiful in his eyes, you know, because, like, whatever that is, and she needs to be able to express to him, like, this is my love language, and, like, I really want to know that you do find me attractive, and, like, this is what I would need to be able to get there, and, like, I don't know what that is for Nancy. She's gonna have to articulate it. I think Raven and SK break up. I think Zainab and Cole are gonna break up. I think
if not immediately,
Colleen and Matt will break up. I think the only people that are going to make it through alive, if you will, meaning still together, are Brennan and Alexa.
Yeah, I agree. I feel the same way. There's like a part of me that wants Colleen and Matt to figure it out because they do make like an aesthetically very cute couple.
Yeah. Same with Bartise and Nancy. Like, there's a part of me that wants them to figure it out because I had so much faith in them, like, going into it. They both were, like, very articulate and, like, emotionally mature. And then Bartise did that, and I'm like, I feel like it's way too soon in a connection to have that much of a violation of, and then to repair from it. You know what I mean? Like... Mm-hmm. If she was with Bartise and, like, they had a great relationship for, like, a year and then he got really drunk and said something like that, she knows the depth to Bartise. It would be easier for her to be like, it would be easier for her to be like, you were really drunk and you said some hurtful shit, so you got to make up for it.
Listen, sometimes, you guys, sometimes it's about, like, checking in with your relationship with alcohol to take a pulse on, does my relationship with alcohol create challenges in my relationship with my partner that wouldn't exist without it, or wouldn't exist at this volume of alcohol
any
consumption?
Substance, by the way, weed too.
Yeah,
weed too.
Totally.
Weed, any kind of drug, any kind of substance, any kind of, like, they're even into habits. Like, there's some people who are like gym addicts, and it's like your relationship to the gym is quite literally hurting your relationship with your partner because you're never available for them. You're either at the gym or at work, like, or your relationship with work. That's another thing that can, so, like, be honest with yourself, across all substances and activities that could potentially be amazing, but if we become too dependent on them, could really fuck up not only you, but your relationship.
Yep.
Yeah. Red and green flags?
Yes, let's go there. What's your red flag?
My red flag is Zainab's passive aggressiveness.
Oh my God, I was going to give her that. I'm so glad you did. No, I'm so glad you did. Trust me, I'm sorry. It's not like there's not enough to choose from.
Okay.
I think we're okay.
I was going to give her, that Zainab gets the red flag for passive aggressiveness because, girl, I get it. Like, it feels safer being like, if you would just do this, like, blah, blah, blah. Are you going to do that? Are you going to just pick your towel up off the coffee table? Like, you're just going to leave it there? I get it that it feels safer. I get that for the person doing this, it feels safer because you in your mind are like, I'm playing it off as a joke, but you're not. And it feels shitty for the person receiving it. If you could totally keep it light and airy-fairy and be like, hey, babe, cleanliness is a value of mine. Out of curiosity, is this a habit for you? Is that something that you're willing to work on? Because I'd love for that towel to make it into the hamper next time. Like, boom. Like, it doesn't need to be this, like, ickiness. Like, we need to develop the emotional maturity to communicate directly and in a calm and controlled manner. So let's ditch that passive aggressive script too.
We're ditching that script.
Always.
Why has it taken us an entire year to start, like, working in the title of our podcast into every absolute episode? We are.
I don't know, because that's literally why we named it that. We named our show "Ditch the Script" to. It's so good. It's like we're ditching the script of the bullshit dating rules and habits. Like, okay, go.
Okay.
What's your red flag?
My red flag is, oh gosh, who wants it? It could go to Cole. It
just
could
dish
go to
them
Raven.
out. Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah, it could go to Cole. It could go to Raven.
Could go to Bartise.
It could go to Matt and Colleen. It's going to Bartise. It's going to Bartise. And I want to specify, Bartise is not wrong for having thoughts and confusing feelings about Raven.
Yes. Not at all.
Like, I am not coming for Bartise for choosing Nancy and then showing up and seeing Raven and being confused about that. All that means about Bartise is that he's a human being. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's primal. He has that's a thing. We can be attracted to people.
With Bartise is those are inside thoughts, dog. They're inside thoughts. Tell it to your homie and figure that shit out. And if there's something you notice about your feelings about Raven, then, and you find that there's something about that that's important for Nancy to know because it changes where you are in that relationship with her, carefully figure out how the fuck you want to talk about it.
For real.
Because it's not in this way where you're like treating her like her best friend. And like you were saying earlier, it's like, I hope that I can be this honest with you. What, you're going to put her in a position where she looks like shit if she's like, yeah, I don't want you to be that honest with me. Like you're making her the bad guy for being like, that sucks to hear. When really like, you're not the bad guy for having these feelings. You're kind of a bad guy in this moment for telling her wasted. And she's just supposed to like accept it like your buddy. That's not cool.
Not cool. Not cool at all. I also didn't like that he was like in his confessional during the party. He was like, I'm going to see where this goes with Raven. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I literally wrote that down. I was like, what do you mean see where this goes? You're literally engaged to Nancy. It's not going anywhere. Supposedly. Okay. Green flags. I love that Brendan and Alexa talked about their family dynamics. I think that's the greenest flag I saw in this entire episode. Healthy communication and understanding of the dynamics they were raised in and even how they impact them now. Like Brennan even said, like at my family's house, I wear my hat, I sit up straight, I don't cuss, and it's like, okay, let's talk about that. Like if I was him, I'd be like, why don't you feel safe being you when you're there? Like tell me more about that. But culture, good self-awareness. Yeah. So that's my green flag.
I think what's interesting about that, and I'm just going to piggyback off of yours because I literally can't see a green flag in sight otherwise.
I know.
It's the only one that exists. I'm piggybacking off of that to say, like, even though this has the potential to create a significant divide in their relationship future, because this would be a deal breaker for a lot of people. The fact that their home life and how they could put themselves at risk of tarnishing those relationships with those in-law figures could be a deal breaker for some couples. But I think that the fact that they're talking about it now is a really good layup to prepare for those experiences. They're trying to set each other up for success, not failure. And that starts with awareness of these environments are different. The mannerisms are different. I hope that there is a continued conversation because maybe this is just me because I don't come from Alexa's family, and my family doesn't totally talk like that. I think it's cool that hers does. She seems very close to them, so something's working there, although all families have their issues. I do kind of hope that she kind of tries to meet his family where they're at a little with norms. I think and I would want this to go both ways if anyone is showing up to anyone else's cultural space, whether that's a family house, a family gathering, a religious, just be cognizant of this cultural dynamic, and it's okay to be reserved in those moments, be yourself, but also have a little bit of respect for the culture that's present. That's all.
100.
I hope there's a little bit of that.
Yeah, me too. Alrighty. Well, thanks for listening, you guys. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know by leaving a couple stars, a rating, a review, whatever, fancies your pants off today. Also, give us a follow on the gram and TikTok at Ditch the Script Pod. And if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel yet, you probably should, and hit that subscribe button. Or if you're watching right now, hit it wherever it is. It's going to be around. Yes. Hello. Thank you for being here today. And that's it, right? Do we say anything else? Right. I can't remember. All right.
Nope, we sure don't.
Oh, website, ditchthescriptpod.com. If you have any questions that you want us to answer, or if you want to apply for a free session with us, 30 minutes, ditchthescriptpod.com/podcast. And that's it. We'll see you on the next one.
Woo!
Bye.